this is one of the things I wanted to ask you about. There's so much data and research about whether it's a caveman diet or whether it's a paleo or keto diet or certainly being vegan or plant-based or whatever. So there's all this stuff. And some of the things that I was reading recently really point more to, are you trying to just do things that are better than what you were doing, or are you trying to do things that are optimum for you? And there's a difference.
Huge difference.
Right? Because some of the folks that I was reading were saying, they did a meat only kind of, and they felt really good, and they, a lot of things went well for them. They slept good, like all those sort of key metrics. Most of them were good, but it was like, yeah, but is that really the best thing for you?
Right.
And is
it sustainable?
Right. Or is more of a vegan diet better for you than the American diet typical? Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that vegan is the best thing for you. And not everyone can be, Tom Brady and have a personal chef and do all that kind of stuff. Right?
Correct. Yeah. No. So I think what you're getting at all on your own is that different things work for different people. Right? There's some people who are vegan and that does work for them. There's some people who, eat everything. I think the general rule of thumb would be to stay away from processed food as much. Nobody's getting healthy eating.
Yeah. There's no diet that recommends that.
No.
Right.
No. But if, and what it takes is a lot of experimentation, right? So you try something. Some people are fine with wheat and gluten. Other people really have sensitivity to that.
What has happened with gluten? It is now the worst thing in the world.
For some people,
it's far worse than heroin or meth or anything. It's got the worst. You don't want to be like working for the gluten company. You would be like,
although
the
it's
devil.
in everything. And
I know,
and that's
but how
part
did
of
that
the
happen?
problem, right? Because they use the protein, they use it to congeal things. So it's in everything. And I think what's happened is that a lot of people's guts are not healthy. And when they're not healthy, the gluten protein can get in and cause inflammation and have your immune system react. And that's a very general overview. But
sure.
But for some people, it's fine. I can eat gluten. I have no problem with gluten. And so,
but most people that
it's
I
getting
know,
more and more.
It's a little suspect.
Yes.
Their response to it.
Yes.
People are very quick to go, I have to be gluten free.
Yes.
And then they're kind of gluten free some of the time, and then it just sort of depends on whether or not it makes them feel like crap.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So
Is that normal?
In some ways, it's a very fashionable thing to do right now, right? To be gluten free.
That's sort of what I'm getting at, right?
But there's a gluten allergy, there's gluten sensitivity, which I think a lot of people fall, and then there's celiac disease, and they're three distinct things. And a gluten allergy and celiac disease are very real, and also sensitivity is too. You just react. They're different symptoms for each one, but I think it's getting more and more prevalent because more and more people are getting unhealthy and they're putting it in more and more things. So we're just exposed to it more. It's not just you're eating, a sandwich and have gluten. It is in anything that has that needs to be congealed. It's amazing what it's in.
I know, but you say that like it's this suddenly toxic thing.
It's not suddenly.
I know, that's what I mean. But now we're suddenly paying attention to
right.
it.
Yes.
Which I find very strange.
Yes.
And I'm not like a conspiracy theorist or anything. I'm not saying that but there's something about the fact that now, so now this is so if I'm gluten free, I can eat and drink and do whatever with everything that's gluten free, and now suddenly I'm healthier. That's not the approach.
No, because a lot of gluten free stuff has a lot of bad stuff in it.
Right.
Yeah. So again, it's just about trying to eat whole foods, trying to eat something that doesn't have a lot of additives, preservatives. And if you want to try going off of gluten for 3 weeks and then adding it back in and seeing how that feels for you, then you can get a better sense of whether you're actually...
Well, I will tell you, you go off of anything for 3 weeks, when you add it back in, it's not going to feel great.
You don't think?
Mm-mm.
You have experience with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you stop drinking, if you drink often and you stop drinking, when you start again, you're like, golly, that's
well, you
not
notice
ideal.
more, right?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not whether it's dairy, which causes all kinds of inflammation, or whether it's the sugars and insulin and glucose spike and all that kind of stuff. Like, you cut that stuff out. When you bring it back, that's why I think most of us are just happy to have it and just maybe
just
shouldn't enjoy it in such quantity. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, right. So if you have some symptom that's bothering you, right? Like, I don't know, your indigestion or whatever. It's just experiment around with what works, what doesn't work, and it doesn't have to be huge changes.